I do want to briefly shout out those of you who have won Mad Dash to Mexico. Whoop, whoop, totally. Christine on this call, Christine Brennan. You guys, I was on Power Hour today. Girls, stop talking or go in the other room. I was on Power Hour today. Check this out. Christine did not have any of her rank advancements going into the weekend. This weekend, she created 4 consultants and a manager. That is powerful, right? Setting the intention and doing it. Also New Year's kickoff tickets. And then also I know that I don't know who's typing as me, because that's not me typing. 2 people are, oh yeah, Jamie, I love it. Okay. And then I know that our guest speaker, but I'm going to let Barbie edify and talk about that. She also hit Mad that we were all together at Impact Summit when she hit it. So that was so fun to watch. And yeah, Barbie, I'll hand it over to you.
Awesome. Can everybody hear me okay? Can you hear me? Okay, good. Sometimes I never know with AirPods, but yes. Oh my gosh, you guys, I'm so excited to introduce Kristy. Honestly, the room just erupted when Kristy, it was like she had presented in the morning and then she hit it later that afternoon. She created her last and final 4th consultant. And honestly, just being in the room with her as she was celebrating, she literally just delivered this amazing presentation in the morning, and then she hit Mad Dash to Mexico. So I'm so excited for you guys all to meet her. She truly is such a gem, and neither of us planned wearing our hats, but I love that both of us are wearing our hats right now. She is at her son's football game, you guys. So when you think about this, she's literally carving 30 minutes out of her day in the middle of her evening, watching her son. Honestly, that's commitment and that's dedication. I am so grateful that she's literally carving out this time. But honestly, I want you guys to hear her story about how she got started, what shifts have changed in her business. And honestly, the mindset piece that she gave at Impact Summit was so incredibly powerful. She had me crying within 5 minutes. I'm not even kidding you. It was timing of everything. But honestly, I'm so excited for her to bless you guys with her story. And I know Michelle's on here too. And Michelle, I know you hit Mad Dash to Mexico too. So I know you weren't on when Allison was calling it out, but wanted to give you a shout out too, girl. So congrats, you guys. All right, Kristy, I'm so excited for everybody to meet you. Would you just share a little bit about your story, how you got started, who introduced you, why you got started, and how things have been going for you for the first couple of years?
Oh my gosh, thank you. And thank you, Barbie, for those beautiful words. What an introduction. You are so gorgeous inside and out. And I'm so glad that I was able to get to know you better at the Impact Summit. So thank you again for the opportunity and the honor to be here and to serve your team. And I love that we have matching hats. It's Monday, right? So my name is Dr. Kristy DeLeon, and I got started, gosh, it's going to be 5 years in April. And I was 37 at that time. I am a wife to a fireman. I'm not sure if we have any first responder wives here. We're basically single mothers. And for those of you who are single mothers as well, kudos to you, because I know more than half of the week what that feels like, and it's intense. I have 2 boys who are 11 and 10, but at that time, right, they were 6 and 7. And so what was going on in my life at that time was that I had a great private practice as a psychologist. However, I was seeing the writing on the wall of just being on that crazy entrepreneur, solopreneur hamster wheel. And it was already resting heavy on my heart, thinking that I would have to be, for lack of a better term, chasing clients, right? I'm not one of those psychologists that keep clients for years on end. And, also because of my busy schedule, it was getting really hard to find a sustainable, healthy lifestyle. As you're getting closer to 40, I was kind of freaking out about it. I'll be honest with you, because of all the stories I was hearing from women who were over 40 about the hormonal changes and just how your body completely changes after 40. I had always struggled with weight loss maintenance. I think maybe because I just have plumper genes. I don't know. But also I suffer from Hashimoto's. So I'm constantly battling fatigue and weight gain too. So, you know, I knew like I needed to get something in place before I hit 40. And those were kind of the pain points that I came into this journey with. I was introduced to Isogenics by the incredible Sonia Mafous. We met at a women's networking event that she reluctantly went to, but I'm so glad she did. And, you know, I started following her on Facebook, as many of you maybe have done with the person who has enrolled you here. And just seeing not only that this vehicle allowed her to create and maintain a healthy lifestyle, but also allowed her to work from anywhere and to make residual income. And all of those things sounded so dreamy to me. So I started with one of our 30-day systems. And if you have ever been on any of our team calls, I'm sure you've heard the phrase that we woke up feeling like we swallowed a rainbow. And that was me on day 5. And at that point, I knew that one, these products would always stay in my life because it just made my week so easy. But also, as a professional who dealt with a lot of women and couples that were struggling with mental and physical fatigue, and so they couldn't show up for themselves or their spouses, and then also the financial stressors that were tearing apart families, like those were, right, some pain points that as a psychologist, yes, I could give them some great coping skills on how to manage that, but I couldn't really address the problem, right? And here was a vehicle that could give them a solution to both of those issues while also enabling them to create a beautiful, lasting legacy for their family.
Oh my gosh. Honestly, like how perfect. How perfect is that? Like honestly, I mean, I think so many people can relate as we get older and as things change, right? And I love what you said about Sonia, how you followed her on Facebook, as I'm sure so many of us have. I mean, who here enrolled with someone after they saw what they were posting on Facebook, or maybe they were introduced and then built their belief on Facebook? Allison, I know that was you. Honestly, like Allison shared with me over coffee, but I saw what she was doing on Facebook and that inspired me more. But how cool is it that not only Sonia didn't only share just like the health, well, like the health transformations, but also truly like what the financial opportunity was able to provide for her as well. So I love that you spoke to both of that because it's so true. You never know who you're going to inspire. So always share both. And I know that that is something that bleeds deep into your team. So yeah, I would love to know like how you started on the business side, how you started sharing, how that went for a while. I know there was a big shift within your team and your organization this past year. So would love for you to just share a little bit about that and how you got started and how it's going.
Yes, of course. So when I got started, and let me preface this with, prior to Isogenics, I had already been building a brand on social media. No, I don't have like 10K followers on IG, okay, but I was already like understanding that I needed to create a social presence even as a psychologist, because right, that is also a referral type business as well. And so when I got started, I was, you know, and we hear this term a lot around here, ignorant on fire, about sharing, because I was genuinely ecstatic on how quickly physically, you know, my life was changing, and I wanted people to know about it. And even though I was building a social presence, and I'm not sure if any of you can relate to this, I felt I was one of those women who felt like I had a very small social circle. Like I feel like I have like 3 good friends. And I thought, okay, I have 3 people. Of course, none of them joined me because they thought I was like crazy. But I thought I knew that there were other women struggling with this. I didn't know who, but I think as many of you know, maybe from your own journey or have heard from your leaders and saying, share, because you don't know who is going to see that post or now see that story. I mean, I started in a time where stories didn't exist yet. But who is going to see or read that and it's going to hit them that day, right? So that was actually a big reason why I kept sharing my journey, also because it served as a great accountability tool. And through that, I was an enrolling monster in the beginning. I think it snowballed very quickly that I didn't have all the right tools to take care of everyone. So yes, I had a lot of people fall off, but I kept consistent. And during the first actually 3.5 years of my build, I was finishing my doctorate. And so this was very much part time, but I just kept consistently sharing because I knew, consistency is huge, right? That's something that a lot of, I think, mental health people preach about change. Not too many do, but that's huge in this business, right? Just consistently showing up, building that trust with people that, hey, yes, I'm still doing this thing. I'm still helping people get started. I'm still using these products, right? And so as I've continued to share, I have built relationships with people and they know like when they're ready, I'm their person to get started with. And actually, my last, or the teammate who most recently joined me, who she herself won Mexico, and she's only been with the company like 5 weeks. I had gotten introduced to her a year ago, but I just kept following up with her and letting her know because I had met her through a Zoom by someone else. And she saw how important these products were to her health. She also shared how she had been in the insurance business and she had a big network, which, right, for any of us hearing that with somebody, it's like, oh my gosh, you might be my next rock star, right? But I knew that she was someone who needed a lot of belief poured into her. So I kept following up with her over a year. And, what month are we in? November. So at the beginning of October, she was ready and she qualified for Mexico yesterday. So as Barbie mentioned, my business did take a big shift last year when I enrolled Cami Smith. He was my husband's best friend. He also has a big, presence on social media. And he was, again, another person that I followed up with for months in regarding our nutrition. And I knew coming into this business how important follow-up is because of my previous business, but also hearing it from our leaders, right? I think Kathy says, if you don't follow up with them, someone else will. And that's happened to me, right? I think maybe it's happened to you that there's those couple of months that you haven't followed up with that one person. And then you see them post about Pampered Chef or Color Street. And you're like, oh my God. Or they send you one of those spammy invites to their party for luxury leggings. And you're like, I can't believe this, right? But that just is key to, right, the importance of being consistent with your list and the follow-ups. And Kathy also says, right, the fortune is in the follow-up, which is huge because it wasn't just Cami, but the women that he brought with him were truly women that I had been praying for to have in my business, women who see the vision and how this vehicle is not just life-changing for the person who starts taking the products, but really can change the generational narrative for communities.
Oh my gosh, you literally give me goosebumps when you talk about that. I'm not even kidding you because it's so true. It is so true. Like I can even say that to myself. Like there are times where I have prayed for certain, not necessarily people, but traits or characteristics or the type of people that you want to attract in your organization. And it is such an incredibly beautiful thing when you see it unfolding. You're like, oh my goodness, thank you. Right. And I think it's just, are you still going to be here when those people show up? And I think for you, that saying that consistency and that following up, and you guys, did you hear her talk about like the follow-up, but also staying in a relationship, right? I mean, your husband's best friend is Cami, and like just nurturing that relationship. And the woman that you met on Zoom months ago, just nurturing that relationship so that when they're ready, they know exactly who to go to. I love that, Kristy. So beautiful. And honestly, you guys, I want her to share the segment that she shared at Impact Speakers. It was so incredibly beautiful. And I think it was, for me, it was just really helpful because I think this story can resonate with so many people. And so I'm gonna have her like pivot a little bit and shift gears. She did share so much amazing nuggets. I hope you guys took away so many good things from her story and how she's built, honestly, like relationships, consistency, I feel like, and follow up were huge things for continuing to build the business. So I am going to make her pivot, and I apologize. I'm only giving her like 15 minutes to knock out like what she did in 30, but honestly, it was such a gift. And so I'm excited for her to just kind of share what she shared around mindset and everything. So Kristy, again, I didn't give you a very good segue.
That's
but
okay.
hopefully you can make it work.
Yes. Okay. So, a big piece in our business, right, is mindset, because we know it's not rocket science to be here, right? And however, your mind can be your biggest asset or your biggest obstacle. And as I was growing into this business, I quickly realized that I needed to let go of some stories. I needed to rewrite some stories that were really hindering my growth and were hindering my ability to show up now like the woman that I know who will be making the 7-figure plus a year, right? Because I think we're all here because we see, whether it's 7 figures, multiple six, whatever that freedom income number is to you, like we see how this vehicle is so powerful and can allow us to get there. So, something in regards to mindset that it's the story that I had recently heard from another personal development coach, was in regards to this golden Buddha. And this golden Buddha, actually, the monks did not know it existed. And it's because it was covered in clay. However, let me share with you a little bit about how it got discovered and how this all ties in. So there was these monks who were moving this Buddha statue, and it seemed just like an ordinary statue made out of clay. And they were on this treacherous road. They hit a bump, and lo and behold, there was a crack. So of course they freaked out, right? So they parked it off to the side, covered it because it was going to start raining. The next morning, one of the monks came out with a flashlight, pulled up the tarp and peeked in to see how it was doing. But then, as he was flashing the flashlight on where the crack was, he noticed something bright reflecting back to it. So then he called one of the people who were helping him transport it to kind of take something to hammer away at the crack to see what was this reflection about. And then as they did that, a bigger piece fell off. And then they discovered that there was this beautiful golden Buddha that had been covered by clay. They realized that decades before, there were raiders that had come into the monastery, and that the monks had actually put clay on top of this Buddha in order to hide it, so that they could preserve it, right? And how this all ties in is, I feel like when we come into this world, we come in as, right, that golden child, if you will, carefree, shining brightly. But as the years go on, as the experiences happen, as maybe the environment that you grew up in, there's clay, layers of clay that start covering that pure golden being that we are. for me, some of the clay has been added because I am first generation Colombian. My parents are both immigrants here. And so there were a lot of generational stories of scarcity, of fear that I was brought up in. And that I noticed as, you know, through my education as a psychologist, but really here, right? Because you are forced to look into a mirror every day, right? I noticed that these stories were really hindering me, were preventing me from showing up as the woman and the leader that I wanted to be. And as a psychologist, you're right, it's this catch-22 of, okay, I have the educational experience, but here I'm realizing that what I'm preaching, I'm actually having to work through myself, right? Which often happens. And I realized that I needed to let go of this, and I needed to give myself permission to let go of it, and to come to peace with some of these stories in a way that I no longer had to feel pressured that I needed to either write a next chapter to maybe certain books or having to rewrite certain stories. So let me dive into that a little bit. So something that for me, I know very true to myself is that there is certain times when I can look at certain women and think, oh my gosh, I wish I had that body, right? So we have that comparison game. And however, I needed to come to terms with, okay, if I want that body, I have to give up so many things that are unrealistic to me, and I don't want to. And I know what it takes to get to that kind of body because I did it for my wedding. And then I also know what happened after my wedding when I gained it all back and more because that lifestyle was unrealistic. And it's okay for me to be who I am and accept the body that I have now as it is, with all that comes with it, right? I no longer have to feel like I have to be a certain way. And this, you guys, whether it's physical for you or whether it's in relationships also, right? Like I shared with you how, you know, in the beginning, and you might have this happen with your circle, that you know that there are people in your circle who could be so blessed by this vehicle, but they don't see it. And that could really weigh heavy on your heart. I know it has, and sometimes it still does weigh heavy for me. However, I'm coming to terms in this recently, and how I no longer feel a sense of guilt or regret that they haven't joined me yet. I still am hopeful for them. But in realizing that I'm going to accept them for where they're at, accept our relationship where it's at. And I don't need to like unpack this whole suitcase of drama around it, right? And maybe it's unpacking a suitcase for yourself of, you know, those stories that we feel that we're carrying around, this 100-pound suitcase of, for lack of my better word, and I'm not sure if there's kids present, but suitcase of bullshit, right? Of just stuff that has been weighing us down for years. And so I want to give you permission to be able to let go of that suitcase and to move forward without it, without feeling like you have to unravel it all. Because I know for me, even as a psychologist, I, you know, in helping people create a path to the better version of themselves, there's some times that, you know, we went down some dark rabbit holes. And I would feel nervous about them leaving my office because I know that when you go down that rabbit hole, it's exhausting and you feel naked, right? But I want to give you permission to be able to move forward in this business, in the evolution of you, without having to unpack all those things, right? Because I want you to feel that it is okay to move forward without unpacking all that. And I could build this business and live my life as joyous and full of happiness without having to unpack this suitcase, that I can leave it and move forward. I know for me, there's been moments in this business that that have been sad, when people, ghost you or leave or say things about you or the product. You feel, and I felt for many years, that nobody wanted to build with me. You start questioning yourself. Am I really crazy? Like, is somebody ever going to join me? And it weighed on me, right? And recently, in reading a book, I think it's called Excuse Me, Your Life is Waiting, it just opened my eyes and freed me to live in a space that the choices that I make come from the desire to be happy. Imagine building your business in a way that just is fueled by happiness, that you're interacting just with the people who make you happy or joyous, that you are, whether it's you want to collaborate with businesses, like that's your angle, that you just do it that way. Or if it's that you want to build a strong community like Laura Stevens has, that you do it that way. But we all have such incredible gifts that we were given. And I want you to think about, and maybe you need to write a list down of what are the things that bring you happiness. What are your interests? What are your hobbies, right? And fish from those pools. Build with those people. Because I know that, right, we all have had moments where we're in such a happy and joyous state that it feels like whatever we do, like there's doors opening left and right, right? And imagine being in that state constantly and being open to maybe these doors opening paths that you would have never thought of, that are completely unconventional to you. But the fact of you being open to recognizing it, open to walking through that door, is huge. So kind of taking a step back into mindset, I want to do a very brief exercise with you. So hopefully you have a pen handy. Yes, okay, good, Barbie, I see your pen. So what I want you to do is put the pen in your non-dominant hand. So if you are right-handed, you put it in your left. If you're left-handed, you put it in your right. Now, I want you to write your name in cursive. And not how your 2-year-old would write it, but take a moment to really form out the letters, right? Maybe it's been a while since you wrote in cursive, right? And you have to remember, how do I even write this letter in cursive? But let alone doing it in your non-dominant hand. Now, imagine, right, you're doing this and it's kind of like a full body experience, right? Because you're having to really be present with it. Now, yes, I just asked you on the fly to do it. However, if you were determined to be ambidextrous or to now switch your dominant hand, it would take, right, consistent work. Every day, you'd have to pour in 5, 10, 15 minutes in order to make this switch, right? doesn't happen just once. It takes consistency, and it takes time, and it takes intention. Those three things, right, are kind of the vital nutrients of our business. Consistency, time, intention. Those three things are also vital to shifting your mindset too, and really are important in being able to shed those stories, to chip away at the clay that has been formed over time, whether it's out of protection, out of fear, out of doubt, right? We have all of those like mental critics that can be very loud at times. So that's a process that I hope that you can give yourself permission to do daily, right? And anytime you notice that you start acting out of fear, out of doubt, you start criticizing yourself, right? Obviously, there's been a story that has been activated by whether it's you looking at your roadmap to executive and you feel that it's very long and arduous and you freak out, or you're seeing your cycles are decreasing, or people are not reordering, people returning, you know, all the things that can easily press that button of fear and doubt. Anytime that's stirred up, acknowledge it. That's okay. This isn't about running from it, but it's more about giving yourself back the power and the control that you don't have to act on it, and that it doesn't have to lead you, and that you're not building this business off of fear, right? I don't think any one of us here would have joined the sponsor who brought us if we felt fear, right? Or doubt from that person. And so consistency, effort, intention, same things, right? That it would take for you to switch dominant hands are three things that are going to help you shift your mindset. And you might have to do it multiple times a day. And that's totally okay, because that clay has been forming over years, but it no longer has to be there. So changing your mindset is going to be a journey. That's okay. I want it to be a happy journey for you. And anytime you feel that it is time to change your narrative, just pick up the pen with your non-dominant hand and go to work. The end.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I told you, like, honestly, Kristy, like, you just have, it's so good. There's nothing I can say. You guys, like, that was just a mic drop. I mean, honestly, I hope you guys all took some little nuggets away from that. I mean, I've got like an entire page full, and I will take a photo of my left hand signature. It's horrible, but right. Oh my gosh. Honestly, like, consistency, time, and intention. Kristy, you blessed our team so much tonight. Please, everyone, give her love in the chat, your takeaways, anything that you got from this. Thank you so much, Kristy. You are such a gem. We all love you so much and appreciate you. And I want to get you back to your son's football game. But again, thank you so much. You seriously blessed our team so much with this. And I am incredibly grateful to you. And I know we all are. So thank you so much.
Thank you, you guys. And please, if we're not friends on Facebook, please feel free to friend request me, message me. I'm here to help you and to serve anytime I can. Awesome. Thank you, Barbie, for this opportunity.
Yes, thank you so much, my dear. All right, everyone, have a good night.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye.
Bye, guys.